We're very excited to be here today to be talking about social media use in the Chelmsford Public Schools. I'd just like to introduce the team that's presenting today. I'm Linda Hirsch. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. Here with me today, I have Anne-Marie Fiore. She's our Executive Director of Technology and Information. And Dr. Matthew Beyranevand. He's our Mathematics and Science Department Coordinator. So our agenda's for topics today. We're going to be talking about professional use, pro-social use, district perspective, and promoting academics. So we're going to start off with the professional use of our social media. I'm going to be talking primarily about Twitter because this is my section, and that's usually what I use for most of my social media. So the first thing we have people do is set up a professional account. You'll be surprised, there's a lot of people that try to commingle their personal account with their professional account. But the one thing we ask our members in our district to do, whether they're a classroom teacher, principal, district administrator, is to have a separate account for the district because they're promoting the district. And when they're putting that account together, one of the things we try to promote as well is to use our school colors. If you have a mascot, that's a great use of it. We're very fortunate. We have an extremely talented tech director that we'll be speaking to today, and she helps us put together all of our accounts. And if you can, putting in a professional picture will actually round out the whole process for you because you're actually putting out, you're a piece of the district. So you're putting out information about your district. So you want everything to be kind of, we call it Chelmsfordized because it's Chelmsford Public Schools, but you want people to know what district you're coming from. Then everybody's excited, they have their accounts, they're ready to move forward, but then a lot of the questions that we actually get is, well, what should I be putting out there? What should I tweet? So the first thing that we always recommend for everybody is to start looking at professional learning communities through the use of hashtags. And the reason we ask people to go through that process is as you're reading all of that information, you start to get a flavor for what's going out there for social media. Whether you're a principal or maybe a district person, what are people putting out there? So as you start to read through those hashtags, you start to say, oh, this is something that would be interesting for my school or for my community that I'm working with. And then what's interesting is some people say, well, I don't even know where to start with those hashtags. And one of the best ones to use, which is actually being used today, is the EdChat hashtag. You'll find a variety of different topics that are happening through that EdChat hashtag, and you can start to get an idea of what would be great for you to be starting to do with your account. So today, we're fortunate enough, we actually have Dr. Parks in the audience. He's one of our middle school principals. Thank you, Dr. Parks, for coming today. Okay, we'll hold the applause. And this is an example of how he's using his Twitter account. So he's building his community for his middle school. So he's putting out information about what's happening in his school, whether it's a specific event, something that students need to remember, like a Pride Week, an exciting assembly. He also puts out information such as articles or something that pertains specific to middle school students. Things that are motivational, but he's also connecting with other professional learning communities, with his principals and other administrators in districts. So that's one way that one of our administrators is using the social media. Another example is our department coordinator for guidance. He's not here today, so we don't have to put too many applause out there. But his focus is to look at that bullying piece, maybe cyberbullying. He's putting up information about mental health, how to be an upstander. But all of our district administrators and even our teachers, beyond just what's good for their community, they're putting out professional articles too. Some of them are professional bloggers, so they're putting out their own information, and you'll be seeing a little bit of how that works in some of our future slides. So, pro-social media. As I said earlier, you're actually modeling what's happening for your district. So it's very important that when you're putting information out, it has to be information that's correct and non-biased, and you have to be very careful of what you put out there. Your words have a lot of weight to them. As an administrator, a teacher, people take that information as, the truth, the absolute truth. So when you're putting that information out, you have to make sure that you're modeling good behavior of social media. Okay, so there's a variety of different ways that you can use it. And again, even if you're not ready to set up your own account, like a professional account, if you do have a personal account, go in and start looking at what's happening with those professional learning communities to see that this might be something you could then create in your own school or your own district. So what do I do? What am I doing with my tweets? So I have 5 main categories that I tend to focus on when it comes to using Twitter as a social media avenue. And that is obviously our district events, any district news that's going out there, educational articles. And for me, as a district administrator for curriculum and instruction, I'm looking at everything across the board, whether it's regular ed, special ed, world languages, PE, health. So I'm trying to get a lot of information out there about what's happening in our district and those educational articles, subject information specific, and then retweeting other users in the district. And what we've created in Chelmsford, I have a tweet chat that I run, and it's called Ask CPS. So there you can focus on a specific topic, whether we pick a content area or maybe something with social emotional health, because that's a big hot topic. And for an hour, we run a tweet chat using that hashtag AskCPS, so other people can join in on the conversation that maybe couldn't come to a presentation or can't come to a specific meeting. So that's another way you can get that information out there. So that actually ends my part of the presentation. I'm going to be turning it over to Anne-Marie Fiore. She's our Executive Director of Technology and Information, and she's going to be talking about the district perspective of social media use.
Okay, social media from the district perspective. Social media in Chelmsford is a smaller part of a larger communications plan. That communications plan is made up of our relationship with our local cable access TV station, with local news, whether it be online newspapers or print newspapers, our school and district websites, very important, and basically the overarching goal of it is to get out the good works about Chelmsford. If something unfortunate were to happen in your district, you don't want that to be the first thing that anybody's ever hearing about your district. So keeping your presence first and foremost, always with positive things, is a good idea. So because you have a website, and whether it's the k12.ma.us domain or you have another domain, it's still considered a government domain. So on Google, that's rated very high because it's the authority. So you want to drive everything in social media back to the school website. If you're tweeting out something, I always add a link. Here's the updated school menus. Link back to the school website. You have many, many things on your school website that you want people to avail themselves of, so use all these things to kind of drive the message back. It's your authority, your domain name, the driver of information is your school and district website. So with all the choices that you have with social media, how we came upon 4 in Chelmsford was I had a steering committee. We looked at 17 different pieces of social media, and we came up with these 4, and I know you're probably thinking, all right, they're 4 of the most obvious ones. Yes, they are 4 of the most obvious ones. However, it was done by committee. Also, too, as each one was vetted by this steering committee, I brought them forward to school committee. That gave them an opportunity to know, here's what we're doing, we're embarking on social media, and they had a chance to write a social media policy for both staff and students. It's critical to have that. So with all the choices that you have for anything getting out on the web, audio, visual, infographics, there's just so many choices. Today I'm going to start with Twitter. When I first started my Twitter account, I didn't use my name as the account. It's called ChelmsTech, Chelmsford Technology, abbreviated as ChelmsTech. What I quickly realized was that the district actually needed their own account, but I didn't want to maintain 2. Matthew will talk to you about maintaining 2 Twitter accounts. So my technology account kind of became the default account for the district. So as I'm tweeting out, here's a good article about digital learning, technology integration. I'm also telling people, don't forget to do your Windows updates. Here's a free app for your iPad. So it's kind of like a hybrid account. I tweet out all the press releases, all the district news and information. So if you Google Twitter campaign, this will give you a way to kind of sculpt your tweeting, because kind of if you look into the abyss of Twitter, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to tweet? This kind of gives you a little bit, this is available on the Twitter website, but it's a typical campaign. So Spotlight Mondays. On Monday morning, I come to work, I'm thinking, who's doing something great, what should I spotlight, person, teacher, program, department, administrator, club, activity, event, whatever it is, hashtag spotlight, write the tweet, and include a photo. Tweets get much more interactivity when they include a hashtag and a photo than just a straight text tweet. Tuesday is behind the scenes. I usually take pictures that I've taken from the previous week. Here's Mrs. So-and-so teaching. She's using her interactive whiteboard. Hashtag BTS, a photo of the teacher. I might do hashtag interactive whiteboard. Helpful hints, anything on your website could be a helpful hint. Here's a tutorial about how to check your child's grades in X2 or your student information system. Here's the school menus. Here's how you pay athletic fees online. Anything that's like a tutorial or a helpful hint for people in your school community. On Thursdays, I look back about 7 days in the week and I think, what hasn't gotten enough play? So that's in case you missed it. So school musicals coming up, band concert, some athletic event. In case you missed it, give something a second chance back around on Twitter. And then FF, Follow Friday, is on Twitter a convention used for following experts. Anyone in your school community who's an expert on something, obviously Matthew and Linda have been experts in Chelmsford on curriculum and mathematics and science. Dr. Parts is obviously an expert middle school principal. They've all been Follow Friday experts. Could be students. We have a student in Chelmsford who's a Pakistani dancer. She's been on Follow Friday as an expert. So as you look at Facebook, and I've talked to administrators in other districts and other tech directors especially, it kind of can be a forced use for good or a forced use for evil. And I get this question a lot, how do you set it up to make it less so? So I'm going to start off with that pro-social use, as Dr. Hirsch talked about, comments, posting, and tagging. We don't allow other people to write a post and send it to our Facebook. That's disabled. That's easy to do with the settings. We don't allow tagging of images or names because somebody could conceivably use what you've written and put it on their Facebook and write something derogatory. You don't want that. Commenting, it's a question I get a lot. Can you shut off commenting? You cannot disable commenting on Twitter. You have basically two choices. Once you make a post, if somebody asks a question or writes something, you can engage with them and answer. So if somebody says, I'm confused about the gluten-free options on the school menus, you can say, for more information on gluten-free options, please visit this link and send them back to your district or school website. If you want to engage with them. If you do not want to engage with them, sometimes if somebody writes something inflammatory or derogatory, I'll just simply hide the comment. Takes a little bit of work, but honestly, you probably get 2 or 3 comments a month. So it's not like it's, it's not like it's an overwhelming amount of work. So that's the 2 ways to go. Going forward, I would like to make it, a more open discourse where people could ask questions and we would answer them. And we do when it's appropriate, but sometimes not altogether appropriate. Our last 2 pieces of social media, Pinterest, when we had the steering committee, there were art and classroom teachers who wanted a way of displaying student work. Not necessarily pictures of children, but their artwork, their schoolwork, their class work, their individual work. So we used Pinterest as a medium for that. Instagram was the other choice. However, at the time when I had the steering committee, the students in Chelmsford were mightily abusing Instagram, so we kind of stayed away from that one. And then YouTube is a popular free video sharing website. And I don't drive people to YouTube and say, hey, check out our YouTube channel. That's not how we use it. How we use it is that ever important embed tag is on the bottom of the page. Once you upload a video onto our educational YouTube channel, I upload them. I take that embed tag and then I pop it out onto the district website. I'll show you right here. When you see the arrow coming across, that embed tag is for that actual show. So it's really easy to do. And the thing that's great about YouTube as a service is it streams, it's high def, there's no buffering, there's no waiting, there's not a lot of compression, so the video looks good, it looks clear. A lot of school software packages have the video component, you can upload a video, but they tend to compress the video so much so that it loses a lot of quality, so I stick with YouTube. And then when you have your YouTube channel, although you're not driving people there, you do have a repository of every video that you've ever had online. So that's kind of a nice thing. It's a historical representation of all your videos. When I got to Chelmsford in 2010, we had done a community survey because the website needed to be overhauled. And it was a comprehensive survey, went to every community member in Chelmsford. And those were the 4 things that people in Chelmsford thought were important to be on a school or district website. News and announcements, press releases, and videos was 3rd. Kind of surprised me because I've done these in other districts and videos hasn't even popped as in the top 10, but I've always held true to that, so I always include videos on all of our school and district site. Your relationship, if you don't have one, with your local cable access TV station can be really good in terms of PR, getting out the good news, getting out the good works. This is a promo for a show, our district show. It's called Inside CPS. And what we do is it's just a simple round table show, and we invite staff, students, anybody who's doing something that we want to highlight. That ability for you, it's easily put together show, just a talk show, no high production values on this. Matthew will talk about high production values when he speaks. So at the beginning of each season, which is the beginning of the school year, I make a quick promo on iMovie. I take some clips of what happened in the past school year. So, hey, we're getting ready for season 4 of Inside CPS. And obviously it has sound, which I have off so I can talk over it at this point. And the thing about local cable, creating a relationship with them is, I'm on the board of Chelmsford Telemedia, which is what our cable station is called. We did a survey as a board 2 years ago. 78% of people tuning in to the local cable station tuned in for educational programming. That was a shocking statistic. They were shocked. I was shocked. I was happy, but I was shocked. We run about between 5 and 9 shows. We repeat them on a daily basis. They run 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So there's about 12 hours of programming on the Ed channel. Another thing we've done with cable access TV is to, when there's something big, and Park is big, especially when it first started, Park, the Common Core, what is it? We don't know. Matthew and Linda and I created a show called Eye on Park. It was 3 episodes, and 2 of them were in a game show format, and parents were answering Park questions on one. It was like Family Feud, and kids were doing it on the second show in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style. And then the 3rd show was Dr. Jonathan Landman, Associate Commissioner from the DESE, talking about Park, and he actually on TV demonstrated the questions, the Park questions. This was at the time of the field test when Park was really a new thing. Another thing, another great bang for your buck on cable access TV is to just make a quick commercial. Matthew and Linda and I go down into the studio if we have some new show. This was actually our commercial for Park. And the great thing about a commercial is cable TV is always looking for 30-second or 20-second or 1-minute things to run between their shows on all their channels, because things tend to run a minute behind or a minute short. So you'll get a lot of bang for your buck. They'll run this on the public, the educational, the government channel. So you'll get a lot of play over doing a quick promo. This took us probably 10, 15 minutes to film, and off you go, and people know about your new show. Use social media to get it out there. We're arguing about what was the most important part of Park, which, as it turned out, was technology. Having a great relationship with your local news is really important. Once or twice a year, the superintendent and I invite the local reporters in, and we ask them 2 very important questions. How can we help, and what do you need? I have to say, when the superintendent asked me to do this at first, I thought, oh, they're going to want everything, and it's going to be like another full-time job for me. But it really wasn't. Their needs are pretty simple. They want usually your acceptable use policy on kids' photos and things like that, and they want pictures of the schools. You know, on the patch, one editor might be covering 5 or 6 communities. They don't have time to run around and take pictures of all the schools. But when you're making your school or district website, you have access to good photos of the schools, and they usually want those. That way, when they have to do an article, they can pop in. And you want that. You want a good shot of your school, not one from, you know, some crummy one somebody took on an old camera. I would be remiss if I didn't mention social media and what we do with students. A couple of years ago, when we got a new athletic director, he said to the parents, the athletic parents, I am communicating with you through Twitter, period. Join Twitter. You will know sports scores, practices, when things are canceled, when things are postponed, and he held true to his word. Once the school day is over and the games start, it's just a flurry of tweets the whole night. Girls volleyball this, boys this, whatever. I mean, it's just going on the whole night. It's great. It's a very vibrant community. Clubs and activities. Take, like, for instance, the Interact Club at Chelmsford High School. The Interact advisor might say on Facebook, tomorrow we're presenting at Chelmsford Rotary. You need to be dressed a certain way. You need to bring these items with you. That way the parents see it, the kids see it. There's no mystery. And events and field trips. I always find it very engaging that when the kids are on a field trip and the teacher's tweeting and they're tweeting, you know, here's a selfie, we're at the Statue of Liberty. You know, you're still kind of with them, even if they're out of state and it's going on all day. And the band director at Chelmsford High School is really good about when they're out of state coming back, he'll tweet from the bus, we're at the Mass Pike, we're at the tolls, we'll be back in Chelmsford in 25 minutes. You can pick up your children then. You know, it makes it very alive and vibrant. So to recap, smaller part of a larger communications plan.
So the four things that I want to talk about today in regards to media and social media has to do, first of all, with how I do Twitter, so we can hear a different perspective from how Linda did Twitter and how Anne-Marie did Twitter, and also talk about a relatively new app, Periscope, and how I use that. And then I'll shift to the work that I'm doing with local cable access TV and how I use that to drive my social media. Move towards math music videos, which I'll be sharing some of them with you today, and then talk a little bit about the new things that I'm doing this year with podcasting and making video blogs as a way to promote mathematics within Chelmsford, but also promote mathematics for anybody who's interested in learning and being engaged with mathematics. So I actually use two different professional Twitter accounts. I have 3 accounts for Twitter. I have my own personal one, which I keep separate, that I use for sports or politics, and I keep that separate. I don't mix them, in a sense, as Anne-Marie and Linda talked about. You don't want to mix professional and personal use on Twitter. But I actually have 2 different accounts. I have my Chelmsford professional account, which is my Dr. Beyranevand account, that focuses on everything related to Chelmsford, for parents, students, the community, to learn about what things we're doing, who's winning awards, what presentations am I going to share with parents about what we're doing within the district. So that account I tweet exclusively for the Chelmsford community, where I work. But I have a separate Twitter account that I use. That's the Math with Matthew Twitter account. That is basically for a bigger mission or a bigger purpose. So what I really like to focus on professionally is that I want to increase students' interest and engagement in mathematics. So I have this Math with Matthew Twitter account, as well as a Facebook account, Instagram account, that I focus on for tweeting about or sharing information about math in general. That would be beneficial to not just the Chelmsford community, but anybody, math teachers around the country. And I'm involved with a lot of different chats, as Anne-Marie talked about, that involve just math in general. So I try to separate that, because if I'm a Chelmsford parent, I want to know what's going on within Chelmsford. I don't necessarily want to have my whole timeline filled up with information specifically about just math, big picture. On the other hand, if I'm a math teacher in San Francisco that connects with me and they're interested in some of the videos that I put out on Twitter, they may not be interested in the day-to-day things that happen in Chelmsford. So I use 2 different accounts for that. What I've also started to use recently is this Periscope. Is anybody familiar with Periscope? Anybody use that? Good, very impressive. It's good, this is a tech conference, we know that. So the way this works is that you are able to do live videos, and you can share those live videos immediately, and you can interact with people as you're showing something. It could be that you're filming something and they're watching it, or you can actually talk directly into the camera, and people can type and talk with you as you're doing this. So within Twitter, it's very easy to get interactions with people, because many educators are on Twitter. But I've found that for education within Periscope, there's not too many people on there. So I use 2 different accounts for Periscope, just like I do for Twitter. I have my Dr. Beyranevand account, where I go and I do live events within the Chelmsford Public Schools. So if there's a parent night, I'll do a scope for that, so people could watch it who can't leave to come to the high school for an event. Or there might be a presentation within Chelmsford that I'm going to see. I'll do a scope for that as well, so people can watch that. And then I have my Math with Matthew scopes that I do, where I give short talks or interactions with their teachers about how they could be a better teacher, or what things I'm learning about within math education, or this is the way I plan lessons, and I do these talks on there. Now, to be honest with you, I don't get a lot of feedback interaction on the educational scopes with Matthew, because there aren't too many teachers out there. So I know quite a few people are on Periscope. I would love to be able to create more of a culture of interaction with educators on the scopes there and talk about important issues within education in a similar way to we do with Twitter. So I use those scopes both within Chelmsford and for the big picture of math education. So now, what are the types of things that I share out on social media, on Twitter, on my Facebook page, on Instagram, on these scopes, is that I said I need more material to be able to share out. It's nice to be able to tweet articles that other people are writing, or it might be nice to be able to tweet things that you hear about, but I wanted to create my own media. So what I want to talk a little bit about now is the media that I use to drive my social media. And as we heard from Anne Marie, we have a great public TV station within Chelmsford called Chelmsford Telemedia. And they're very accommodating to things that we do. So Anne Marie started 5 years ago her own TV show called Inside CPS to talk about all the things happening within the district. I created my own TV show called Math with Matthew that basically spends time interviewing teachers, kids, faculty members, so they can learn about all the great things that's happening within the Chelmsford Public Schools. And then in the last 2 years, I've also created a new science TV show called Science with Matthew. And the Science with Matthew is a little bit of a different show in the sense that it is me going to the different science fairs within the district and interviewing the kids and talking to them about their science projects. And what's nice about this is that the science fairs are fun. Kids are very excited about it. You give them the opportunity to now be on television and talk about their science project, where they can watch it on the web, they can see it through my Twitter account, through my Facebook account, and they can also watch it on the actual TV station, their work there. They get very excited about it. So the science fair participation within the district has been the highest it's ever been, because I am there filming for them their science fair projects and interviewing them on that. So I have this public access TV show, and I'm kind of interviewing teachers, and I do that for a season or two, and then I said, what can we do to make it a little bit more fun? I talked about my bigger professional thing is how can we make math more interesting and more engaging? And what I decided to do was, let's start making some math music videos as a way to increase kids' interest in mathematics. So I started making some of these math music videos where I take pop culture songs that the kids know, and we change the lyrics and we make it about math, and we have either kids or adults do the singing for it, and then we make an actual music video that goes out on YouTube, that goes out on Facebook, that goes out on Twitter. Teachers can show these videos within their classroom. Kids are excited and proud because they're involved in these actual videos, and then it's played within the class, and now they're becoming genuinely excited about learning mathematics. So we have Gangnam Style here, which we turned into SOHCAHTOA Style, which is trig functions. We have Everything is Awesome from the Lego Movie, and we made it into Polygons Are Awesome. A few more videos that we have Taylor Swift, Bad Blood. We turned that to a science and math war, as now the math and science coordinators. There's that thing, what's more important, the science or the math, which came first? So we made a music video on that. And the one we just finished doing, I Really Like Math, from the song I Really Like You. I get to play Tom Hanks in this, where, for those of you who know the video, Tom Hanks is on his way to a video shoot for this, and I get to play Tom Hanks, and I lip sync the lyrics to this, and it's all those lyrics are based upon math, and then we try to get as many kids involved in this as well. And this became very interesting to me, also as a researcher, is I developed a research project to find out about what impact the kids being involved in these music videos, as well as the kids watching these videos, has in their interest and engagement in mathematics. And I'm going to be publishing these results, and I'm presenting at an International Math Congress this summer in Germany, and the results are unbelievable. Having the kids being engaged in seeing music videos and doing these music videos actually gets them excited about math, which is something that all of us struggle with. Kids are genuinely excited about science, but not so much about math. So these videos that I'm sharing with you here, we're not having any sound right now, but there is one video that I'm actually going to play a short clip that involves sound. And as you know, on Monday is Pi Day, March 14th, and the first music video that we ever did was What is the Value of Pi, based on the song What Does the Fox Say? And this has gotten over 65,000 views on YouTube, and let's take a look at it now.
Plus means addition, minus means subtract, x means multiply, and slash means divide. M is the slope, y is the variable, and the b is the intercept. U is for union, f is for function, and the quartiles label q. But there's one value that no one knows. What is the value of pi? 3.14159265358979323846264. What is the value of pi?
So that's just a short clip of the value of pi. And we're continuing to make these music videos. The one that we just recorded for is really a girls' STEM one that we're doing, that girls are all about the math. If you know the Meghan Trainor song, All About That Bass, very popular song. We just recorded a song with some middle school girls all about that math as a way to promote mathematics and STEM learning for girls in particular. So now I do these math music videos and I get it out there through social media. Anne-Marie helps me with the social media. Linda gets it out with the social media. But I'm still looking for something bigger and better. How can we still increase students' interest and engagement in mathematics? And so what I decided to do was I thought back to one of my favorite shows as a kid, and that's Bill Nye the Science Guy. And that was my favorite show growing up because it really got me interested and engaged in science. So are there any shows like that about math? There's not. So I spent 16 months working with Chelmsford Telemedia to write and film and edit a 22-minute pilot episode of Math with Matthew, the Pythagorean Project, that does an entire 22-minute episode on the Pythagorean theorem as a way to get kids genuinely interested about math. It's not doing computations or doing calculations. It's let's learn about the Pythagorean theorem in a fun way with music, talking about the history of math, through comedy, through jokes, and get them a real positive learning experience. So this was created and it's now actually being aired on over 30 different local public access stations within New England. And I'm going to share a brief clip of the open of the show. This is where myself, the Indiana Jones wannabe, and my partner, who's a high school math teacher, we are going through the caves trying to find the ancient tablet of Plimpton 322. And this tablet is the first evidence of the Pythagorean theorem. So now we're going to take a look at us trying to find this tablet and what happened when we found it.
Ooh, light over here.
Oh, Rhombus, are you being distracted by shiny lights again?
Probably.
Rhombus, what's this blue light?
Nice job, Matthew.
I think if we turn this light into a right triangle, it will lead us to the priceless artifact.
Yes. Matthew, I found it. I found it. The first evidence of the great Pythagorean triples. Ah!
And so that's us finding the first evidence of the Pythagorean triples, which led to the Pythagorean theorem. I teach a history of math course at UMass Lowell, so I think one of the best ways to get kids engaged about mathematics is going through the history of mathematics. And so that's the show that we developed there. Take that show, get it out on social media. Get it out to everybody, both through Math with Matthew account as well as the Dr. Beyranevand account. Use people that you've made connections with so they'll tweet it out for you and retweet it out for you. And so you can get something very small that you make and get it out there in a positive way using social media. So based upon all this, I said I still want to do more this year. What's my goals for this year? So I developed my own Math with Matthew website that kind of hosts all of this here because I learned from Anne-Marie that everything should come from the website. If you don't have your own website to drive things from, it gets disorganized. So I found my own website. And this year I'm doing 2 new things. I'm doing podcast episodes once a month where I'm doing talks with teachers, administrators, coaches, math professors, and we pick one particular topic about math education that we find to be important. Flipped classroom, teaching multiple ways, assessment, and we do a podcast episode on that. And that now is through my website and is also going to be done through iTunes as well, so that any teachers or educators can listen to these podcast episodes. In addition, I do video blogs, very similar. Podcast episodes are 30 minutes in length. These video blogs are shorter. They're about 5 minutes in length, where I can talk about what's going on with the Common Core. What is going on with these particular MCAS this year? Are we doing PARC? Are we doing MCAS? What's happening? So we can take these videos and get it out there on social media. So both the Chelmsford community can learn, the community within Massachusetts, and with all math educators can learn about what we're doing. So I'm developing my own content, and then I'm using social media as a way to get that message out as to what we're doing under the ideas of the Chelmsford Public Schools and what Linda and Marie are doing as well. So that is a little bit about the media that we do within the Chelmsford Public Schools, as well as how we use social media as a way to drive the things that we are doing. Here's our contact information. We'll also be here for a little bit as well, and we could talk over lunch if you have any questions for us about what we're doing with social media within the Chelmsford Public Schools. So thank you very much.